Hey everybody, quick live transmission out of the
Grove.
Grove. Yes, we just walked out of the Meg 2.
To the trench, even though
Quite an
what trench,
experience.
really?
uh, it, I don't know where to begin. This movie was such an experience to watch, but not in the same way as Oppenheimer or Barbie. This was a pretty crazy example of a sequel that's all over the place, and uh, I don't know. Let's not get. I don't want to get too cruel because I kind of enjoyed the third act, and right? We had a little more fun with the third act,
Yeah,
but
it's such a strange thing, right? Because there's a movie called The Meg, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Except the difference is this Meg 2 is directed by Ben Wheatley,
yes,
uh,
excellent British director.
auteur indie director. So that kind of got me excited. Like, oh my god, are we gonna get some really nice
Well,
shots, some great gore? But
for some of you viewing who might not recognize the name, but you might recognize some of his movies. He directed High Rise. He directed
Free Fire,
Free Fire, which are actually his more Hollywoodish mainstream movies. But he's also known as a very experimental indie director who did an excellent film you can stream online right now called A Field in England, which is about soldiers during the English Civil War tripping out on shrooms. So the moment you say he's going to do a movie about a prehistoric megalodon shark, we're there.
your ears kind of
Yeah,
perk up a little bit. Like, okay.
yeah.
Uh,
But
not really.
not really. No, no. This one,
Look, he got a paycheck. I mean, making a living in the industry, especially as an auteur indie director, I get it. But I don't know. It's kind of sad because like we had fun. Like here's the thing: we had fun because we saw it together. They
with
gave us a
a
really great, some great candy, some great booze.
and the audience was, people who were in the same mindset. Bloggers, critics, YouTubers who were probably walking in with the same expectations we had and were taken aback by the result. And if you saw the first Meg, you know the premise, which is that a barrier beneath the ocean has been exposed, and these prehistoric sharks are have been discovered, and Jason Statham faces off with, yeah, a really big one in the first Meg, which turned into a surprise little summer hit back in 2018. Uh, so you expect more of that in the sequel, but something that surprised us was how for the first two acts, there's really no megalodons, right? They just
No,
go
no,
for a
barely.
generic
And all
action
the
plot.
cool things they could have done with the premise of being underwater, they kind of just skip by that.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Like that's where the horror elements or the dark comedy that can often kind of infect horror came in, but no. And
Well,
and and I think for the audience, because it takes itself sort of seriously at the beginning, but then it takes a bit of a turn. And I think for the audience, there were different points in the movie that just everyone's brain just snapped and they were like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing
well,
now.
because nothing much happens in the first two acts, and a lot of it becomes a very generic, I guess you could say, corporate thriller where Jason Statham and his
No,
crew
I
of,
wish we could call it a corporate thriller.
well, I mean, in the sense that and of course we can't spoil. There's a actually a full review embargo until Thursday, but let's just say Jason Statham, eco warrior with his eco warrior friends. All of a sudden, they get stabbed in the back by these evil corporate interests.
And then you can
Yeah,
smell it from a mile away. I mean, I there's so many points I leaned over to Alcy and it's like this is what's gonna
yeah.
happen. Okay.
Oh, and the worst part for all that running time, for all that period of the film, which is again most of the first and second act, no megalodons. I mean, they kind of appear in a couple underwater shots that are so hazy, which is shocking for Ben Wheatley because he's such
Yeah.
a great visual
Well, the
stylist in
thing
his
is,
other
it seems like
movies.
they're trying to make it up in the third act,
Yeah,
but he doesn't really. And
Yeah.
it's such a bizarre thing. The other thing that's even more bizarre, and this is so strange to say because we're talking about a film with megalodons and perhaps some other creatures, that they have a character who's supposed to be 14, and it's very clear they hired like a 30-year-old.
Well, we got to check. We'll check. We'll double check
Okay,
and
this is
we'll
my
update later.
theory,
Yeah.
but definitely not anywhere between the age of 14 and
Yeah.
20. But the problem is they kept doing close-ups and they kept
Yeah.
trying to like do makeup and hairstyle to make
Yeah.
the actor look younger, but it just and she's in the movie so much that it becomes distracting, and it's one of those little choices what's like who ultimately made that choice.
Well, and the third act, which is the most entertaining because that's when the movie becomes a wacky,
Hog wild nonsense,
crazy
and it could have gone
movie.
further, you know.
Yeah, well, see, that's the interesting thing. It's the kind of film that should aim higher in a grindhouse B movie sort of way, and it doesn't do that. It actually just is. It has too little. The third act gets really crazy, but crazy in an entertainingly bad way. Like you're glad the boring parts of the first and third act are over, but the dialogue is still ridiculously bad.
And they have some
Lines,
bad actors who
yeah.
can't like. It's not even sell it. It just makes you ultra aware of everything that went wrong.
The only Latino's a psychotic gun-toting villain who cackles when he's firing at anything, and of course, he asks Jason Statham if he has cojones. He
Yeah,
has to do that because that's just what's
I
required
mean, the
from the
strange
role.
thing is like this should have been a classic B movie. This
Yeah,
should have been one of those Ed Wood B
yeah.
movies from the 50s, you know, going into kind of the low budget videotape era, right? They're sincerely bad. If anyone watches channels like Red Letter Media, those are the kinds of films that they do their show best of the worst on.
I
And
was
they laugh at them because like you can tell
yeah.
that either for ego or other reasons the filmmakers and people involved were really trying to make a movie and it failed.
I'll even
But this doesn't do that. This doesn't feel sincere. This feels like, well, let's just say it's a co-production with China, and I don't know what China's getting out of this, but
it also felt like a classic for hire job where they get a big renowned director and he's probably already been handed the blueprint of what is expected of him to how to structure the film, how to shoot it, and probably was not allowed to go too beyond what the head honchos wanted from the movie.
he probably just said action and cut, really,
Yeah,
which is kind of sad. I mean, again, like I think this is more fun than Ant-Man Quantumania, but I don't know. Look,
fun.
again, you're
Yeah.
not expecting more. We didn't walk into this expecting right that this was going to turn into some auteur
I just
thing.
wanted more sharks. I wanted
I
a
know.
crazy movie with prehistoric sharks.
For the whole runtime, which does
Yes.
go by pretty quickly, to be fair.
I was actually surprised, and this is not a spoiler, but I was surprised the character even references Jaws 2, which some of you viewers know is one of the infamously bad sequels, among the infamously bad sequels to Jaws, because 3 and 4 are no better. But someone
Hey, paid
actually
for Michael
references
Caine's
them.
pool, right?
Exactly.
But no, you're totally right. And there were points where I would just even say, where the hell, where is the megalodon? Like, what?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Well,
And by the way, how the megalodon escapes, because of course it does. The justification for why is so bad. It's
oh,
like
it
it's
was
like
ridiculous. It was it. Well, it starts venturing into that Jaws 4 territory of so are the sharks scheming
what
to carry out
what?
some kind of
Yeah,
plot? Now, the opening of the film is actually fantastic, which makes the other disappointments worse because it opens with something a lot of you have probably already seen in the trailers, which is a prehistoric scene 65 million years ago where a megalodon chomps on a T-Rex by a beach, and it opens with that, and you're thinking, yeah, we're gonna get a lot of this now. We're gonna get that kind of spirit for the rest of the movie, and no,
wrong,
yeah,
wrong.
yeah, you're just sitting there thinking, okay, who are these generic villains? Wow, yay! Another
And that's
psycho
what people were
Mexican.
laughing at, right? That's where when it leans into the so bad it's good.
Would it? Benny's asking, would it be good to watch while high? Yes. The third act. The third
I
act.
Let me just say,
Watch it somehow high, inebriated.
I I would
Sneak
say
something
if
into
you
the
have a
theater.
theater that
Yeah.
allows you to bring alcohol or alcoholic beverages, of course, if you are of age, all that stuff, disclaimer, blah blah blah. Yes, like make it a boys' night, pretty much, or however the fellas' night. It will be fun,
Get
but you're
together with
kind of
your crew. Yeah.
you're bringing the fun into it. It's not because the film is a great comedy, right? It's not like the Mutant Mayhem that's legitimately funny and people were laughing with
Yeah,
the
well,
movie
yeah, that's an actually well written. That's actually
with
a
great
very well written
performances.
entertainment. Whereas this movie,
People were
yeah,
laughing at it.
yes,
Like
you're
literally
not laughing with it. You're
their
laughing at it.
brains,
Yeah,
people's brains broke at every little thing that happened. I will say, even though this is supposedly a movie where Jason Statham and a megalodon carry the movie, let me just say there's a character called JD.
oh, totally steals it.
JD carries this whole movie.
Who's a return from the first movie. He's one of the characters that was very much a side character in the first film. They didn't do much with him, even though he had some great moments of comic relief. In this one, he totally steals the show in the third act, as does for a brief while a giant squid and a machete apparently packed
Yes,
with some kind of explosive TNT like substance. Those gave much better performances
I swear, no,
than the
guys. This
movies.
I know this might not sound like a real movie.
Yeah,
It, we can guarantee you this is 100% a real
and we're
movie.
not being snobby.
No,
We
no,
enjoy good grindhouse, good B
we
movies.
enjoy
This is fun. Yeah,
Grindhouse. So mad it's good. I think what we're saying is like one, we didn't feel the Ben Wheatley in this movie, which we were like, ah. But two, it didn't lean into the B movie, monster movie stuff more, which sucked because when it went off the rails, that's it's still bad, but like you're actually having fun. Like people were clapping for the sharks. Like it
yes,
was that kind
yes.
of thing.
Well, consider that the dialogue was reduced
Well, a
to
fourth grader wrote it.
yeah, the dialogue was it had no wit. It didn't even have that kind of purposefully silly wit. It was reduced to just moments of come out from under the bridge. I
Oh,
have a gun.
what's the famous line when one of the villains? It's like you're just
Oh my
eco
god!
warriors.
So,
I don't care. And they
no, no,
performed the
no.
line so badly.
Well, because this villain tells Jason Statham, yeah, she's mocking him, and they say something along the lines of yeah, and all those concerns you have about the ecosystem, who cares?
But the actress is so bad. Bless her heart. It's so bad.
Well,
It becomes funny.
well, and it's during a scene that's supposed to be a shocking reveal, and it's supposed to be building up to some kind of very intense climax, like that car.
Someone making up for their manhood,
Yes,
apparently.
yes. Very typical in Los Angeles. But yeah, so everybody, that's the Meg 2.
You have to bring your fun to it.
Yes.
The B movie aspects, I'm not gonna say they're great, but that's where the fun lies. Out of the Barbenheimer stuff, well, one, Criterion, Netflix, they have a lot of great indies. Same with Mubi. But if you want to go to the theater to have a good time, I would say go see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's
Yes.
really a fun
If
movie with amazing
if
animation.
you already did your Barbenheimer rounds, or for some reason,
Or just need to escape the heat.
yeah, then escape the heat with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But
Yeah.
if you've already done that, or you just life is just, yeah, you just gotta let loose without kids if you have any, or youngins. This one, yeah, you can have some fun with it. Don't go alone though.
Yes,
You
yeah,
gotta
don't
go
want to
with
see this
good
alone.
friends.
And catch up if you haven't seen the first one. It's streaming on Max right now.
I'm never calling it that.
Yeah.
It why anyway.
Yeah.
But
The corporate world. Talking about corporate villains, the world we live in now.
Yeah.
Everything's being
Hey.
bought.
Yeah, I know,
changed.
and it's nothing happened with
yeah.
SAG yet. So union strong.
We're actually right by SAG, right? No, by the WGA. The WGA is right up the street from us. Ironically,
keep it a good fight.
Yep.
Among many others, and that's us signing off with new equipment. Hopefully, we'll keep improving as we said. But now we feel like we're slowly getting into the next evolution.
More content coming up soon. We're going to be working on our big follow up to our Michael Mann. To part 2, we're going to be working on part 3,
and of that we're going to start recording the first section.
Yes,
dealing with Last of the Mohicans. Sorry. So I still got a few films I need to catch up on, including if people didn't know, there are actually 2 versions of The Last of the Mohicans, one from 1920 and one from 1936, and probably Terrence Malick's New World. And then just brushing up on some U.S. history.
A lot of stuff to watch, a lot of stuff to take in. I'm also doing my homework along with a lot of other stuff I got to watch. Some TV that's coming up this week. We'll talk about that a bit too in our next episode. But for now, we're going to go get some chow.
As the sun goes down, so will this video. Yes. So until next time, everybody.
We'll bring the Meg to our dinner because it was not present in the movie.
Indeed.
Until the next one, everybody. We'll see you all soon.
Ciao.